Hello everyone, welcome to UNC virtual class. On today's sessions, I am going to discuss one of very important fact of the e-business practice field subject. That's your e-commerce structures and its different types of e-commerce techniques. So here is a table of contents which I will discuss in today's class. First I will discuss the introduction concept about the e-commerce. Then after I will discuss the structure of e-commerce, and lastly I will define all over the different types of e-commerce. Okay. So first to start, what is the term of e-commerce? In general way, if we express, the e-commerce means the online commerce, the online business. That means here exchange of goods and services in between your given buyer to seller or seller to buyer through the replacement of transaction on connection of internet, that is to be known as e-commerce. That means on connection of internet, if the all over the goods and services that we exchange in worldwide through the replacement of transactions, that's your e-commerce. That means here the e-commerce to be uses different types of technology through which the data and the services and the goods to be sharing from one location to another locations in very easily. So now to check about the next concept, that's your structure of e-commerce. In general way, the structure of e-commerce to be defines the anatomy structure of the given e-commerce. That means what are the internal elements to be required for the initiation of the given e-commerce. In this case, we have to first designing the e-commerce structures in blueprint format. So whenever we have to designing the given blueprint format for developing any types of e-commerce, that to be containing different types of components. So here is the structure of the e-commerce, and that to be contains different types of components. First, it to be requires two components, one is the buyer and another one is the sellers. Here the buyer means the buyer is an individual and or any business that to be purchasing some product from different company sides to the connection of internet. That's your buyer. That means the buyer one person, maybe one persons or maybe one business who is to be purchasing some product from other companies. That means here the buyer one components, one elements through which the revenue to be incurred. So that the buyer elements is very important for business existing in long life. Without the buyers, the business cannot be existing. Now to check the second components, that's your seller. The seller also one persons or one individuals or business who providing all over the services or goods as the customers to be needs. That means it processing all over the request, whatever the buyers to be providing for response format, on format of response, that's your sellers. Okay. So now goes to our next concept, that's your internet. As you know, the commerce to be involved by using one technique, that's your E, that means online. As you know, when the concept online terms to be initiated, here one technology to be used, that's your internet. So now one question to be arises, what is internet? In general way, internet is the connection of network of network. That means on interlinked heterogeneous types of network that to be interconnected with each other for sharing some resources from one location to another locations, maybe that to be comprises over geographical areas in worldwide format, that is to be known as internet. Okay. But in case of e-commerce, it also uses different types of network or different types of internet like your intranet, extranet and internet. That means by using the three online techniques, the e-commerce business to be evolved. As you know, the internet concepts to be arrives when we have to sharing all over the data in public way with coverage worldwide. But when the term intranet concepts to be arrives, here the seller man or the given businessman to be privately created one worldwide web through which the data to be sharing. That means the public area use companies that cannot be access other companies' informations. After that, another concept that to be provided, that's your extranet. So what is extranet? The extranet terms to be arrives. The given businessman to be created one privately network through which one worldwide web to be created. But here the private network to be accessed by other companies. Okay, that's your extranet. So by using extranet, intranet and intranet, the e-commerce business to be evolved by using the two components, that's your buyer and sellers. Okay, so now goes to our next concept, that's your firewall. As you know, the online concept to be provides whenever we have to sharing from one to other. In this case, it to be uses different types of softwares and also different types of hardwares. As it all over the things to be provided in virtuality ways, so maybe some fraud applications that to be executed automatically without any authentications. So how all over the data that to be processing from buyer to seller and vice versa in secure way, so that it uses one secure protocols or one secure hardwares or softwares, that's your firewall. That means in single way, the firewall one type of softwares or hardwares which to be protects all over the incoming, outgoing data transfers through the network traffic. That means if any types of conflict or any types of malicious codes to be arrives to the network, if all the network traffic to be possible for accessing any types of data codes, in this case, if any network traffic to be controls, that should be controlling by using your firewalls. That means the firewall to be provides one barriers for controlling the given input output control through the data one location to another locations, if the connections to be possible in worldwide. Okay, and this firewalls to be provides different types of secure circuit layer protocols which is to be pre-existing. That means by using some pre-existing predefined protocols, it to be controlling all over the incoming and the outgoing files from one location to another locations. Okay, so that's your firewalls. In specially these firewalls to be used for protecting whenever the server to be providing any response to the given client and the client to be request some data from the server side. In this case, how in authorized way all over the data to be traveling in two parties, that all over the things to be controlled by using your firewalls. So now to check our next elements, that's your product. As you know, the business always to be evolved by using some product, that means some goods and services. In case of e-commerce, that to be by default provides the goods, but nowadays that also to be provides all over the services activity about the product. So that here the product is the goods and services through which the business to be evolved. Okay, then after it to be provides the delivery. That means, as you know, at the time of delivery, it to be provides another types of intermediate elements, that's your transactions. That's your transactions. That means, as we know, in case of e-commerce, when any goods or services that to be exchanges from seller to buyer, it uses the transaction concept, because without the transactions the revenue cannot be incurred. So whenever the commerce to be creating any types of organization, first the salesman to be check the revenue as the capital that to be invested. So here after the product selecting, then another terms to be initiated, that's your transactions. Transaction means you have to provide some money through which the products to be arrives from your locations. And in general way, the transactions to be possible in two ways. One is the offlines and another one is the onlines. In case of offline methods, it to be provides hand-to-hand cash delivery or by using some digital check format where the transactions to be possible in secure ways. But as nowadays all over the commerce facilities to be possible by using onlines, by using computer technological systems, so that here the transaction also to be possible by using online methods through some credit card, debit card or any types of virtual card, through which the transactions to be very successful performed for purchasing any types of product. Okay. After the transactions, then it will provides another types of components, that's your delivery. That means here the seller means to be check all over the e-billing informations about the customers, about the products, about the transactions. After that, it will be provides all over the goods and services and given locations where the customers to be needs for deliver this given product. So that's your last elements of the given e-commerce structures. Okay, that's your general default components through which the e-commerce organizations to be evolved. Okay, so now goes to our next concept, that's your different types of e-commerce. In general way, the e-commerce to be held on by using 4 ways. First one is the business to business, and the second one is the business to consumer, and the third one is the business to government, and then the next one is the consumer to consumers, and the last one is the mobile commerce. But in general way, that way possible 4 ways by default. So what are they? The first one is the business to business, then business to consumers, then consumer to business, then last one is the consumer to consumers or customer to customers. Okay. So now to check first e-commerce types, that's your business to business and also business to customers. First to check business to business. In case of business to business, here a business sells its goods or services to another business. Sometimes the buyer isn't the end users, but often the buyer resells the consumers. Then in this case we have to use the business to business. That means here the business to business transactions generally have a longer sales cycles. For examples here, that's your from wholesaler to retailer. That means the wholesaler one type of business and also the retailer also another types of businessmen. So whenever the business to be incurred in between a wholesaler to retailers, here this types of business to be known as business to business e-commerce. Okay. Then in 2020, close to half business to business buyers are millennials. That means nearly double the amount from 2012. As the younger generation entered the age of making business transactions, here business to business selling in the online space is becoming more important. That means in case of business to business, here all over the e-commerce to be involved by using 2 businessmen. That means here the end user cannot be directly interact with the given business, because here the product cannot be consumed. Only the product to be sharing goods or maybe services that we sharing from one business to another business for replacement of revenue. That means here the products or goods cannot be consumed, only that to be sharing to the replacement of monetary. Okay. So whenever any wholesalers that's to be providing all over the goods or services to the given retailer, the retailer cannot be consuming this. The retailer to be again selling this product or these goods or services to the end users. So that whenever the goods or services to be exchanges in between your wholesaler to the retailer, this type of e-commerce to be known as business to business. Okay. So now to check our next concept, that's your the main definition of business to business e-commerce. As you know, simply the business to business e-commerce is simply defined as the commerce between companies, between 2 organizations, between 2 business. About 80% of e-commerce is of this type. For example, Intel selling microprocessor to Dell. Okay, that means here Intel one company and another Dell another one company. Whenever that to be selling their microprocessor from one company to another company, this type of business to be known as business to business. Then another one is the hence selling ketchup to MC Donald's. So now to check our next commerce, that's your business to customers e-commerce or business to consumers. In case of business to consumer e-commerce, here commerce between companies and consumers involves customer gathering informations, purchasing physical goods or receiving products over an electronic network. That means here business to consumer business sell to their end users. The business to consumer model is the most common business models. So there are many unique approaches under this umbrella. Anything you buy is an online store as the consumer think, wardrobe and household suppliers, entertainment is done part of the business to consumer transactions. Here the decision making process for business to consumer purchase is much shorter than a business to business purchase, especially for items that have a lower value. That means in case of business to consumer models, if any types of goods or services that to be directly consumed by the end user from any organizations, in these types of commerce to be known as business to consumers. For examples, as you know, different types of online e-commerce to be available like your Flipkart, Amazon's or Myntra, etc. And from this given sites, the consumers to be directly selected any products and consuming it. And how that to be possible? That to be possible through the replacement of the revenue or transactions. And these types of process transactions business, that's your known as business to consumers. Now goes to our next business e-commerce types, that's your business to government. Here the business to government e-commerce or business to government is generally defined as commerce between companies and the public sectors. Here it refers to the use of the internet for public procurement, licensing procedures and other government related operations. For examples, any business pay taxes, then file reports or sells goods and services to government agencies. That means when in a business to be evolved in between from organization to the given government sectors, which is to be public sectors, in this case this types of business to be known as business to government. That means the business to government e-commerce to be possible when any types of organizations to be sharing all over their goods or services to the end users by taking authorizations of the government sectors. That means different types of public sector companies nowadays to be available, and these public sector companies to be providing some goods or services as the rules to be provided by the government, and after that it to be providing some taxes and providing some different transaction revenue to the government. Then this types of business to be known as business to government. For examples, as you know, the different types of PAN cards to be required for the user identifications. So the government also provides different types of private sectors where the end users to be creating its identification informations, personal identification information, and after that the private sector to be providing some tax to the government, and this types of business to be known as that's your business to government. So now to check our next types of business, that's your consumer to consumer e-commerce. Here the consumer to consumer e-commerce or consumer to consumer is simply commerce between private individuals or consumers. For examples, Mary buying an iPad from Tom on eBay. That means eBay one type of online e-commerce sites where one consumers to be selling some product and this given product to be purchasing by other consumers. In this case, there is no enterprises or any types of organization businessmen to be evolved. Okay, and another one is me selling a car to my neighbors. That means in this case always the commerce to be possible from one end user to another end users. That means in case of consumer to consumers, here it to be provides online marketplace where the different types of consumers or end users to be connects for exchange goods and services and typically make their money by charging transaction or listing fees. Online business like eBay and also different types of casualist where the consumers to be easily interact with each others. These types of business to be known as consumer to consumers. Okay, so now goes to our next types of, that's your m-commerce, that means mobile commerce. The m-commerce is the buying and selling of goods and services through wireless technology, that is handheld devices such as cellular telephones, through which quickly the end users to be purchasing some goods and services from worldwide on a single place with no time. Okay, on single place which has no distance and given times. Okay, and for examples, that's your mobile ticketing, information services, mobile banking, that all over the things to be possible by using your wireless connectivity technology wise. Okay, and another one default types of e-commerce facilities that to be provides, that's your consumer to business. That means the consumer to business allows individuals to sell goods and services to companies. In this e-commerce model, a site might allow customers to post the work they want to be completed and have business bid for the opportunity. And here affiliated marketing services would also considered as consumer to business. Okay, and another one examples that sure Elance. Now Upwork was an early innovator in this model by helping business here freelancers. And in case of consumer to business commerce model provides always competitive edges is in pricing for goods and services. Okay, and by using these 5 default commerce mechanisms all over the e-commerce to be possible for providing goods or services in worldwide through the connection of internet in very authenticate, secure ways. So, in today's class we have to learn about the structure of e-commerce, that means how the e-commerce to be created by using which types of parameters or features or characteristics elements. In general way that we contains different types of parameters like your buyers, sellers, internet, firebox, then after that product, and after that transaction, and lastly that's your payment. And after that we have to learn different ways how the e-commerce to be possible from consumer to business or business to consumer or consumer to consumer or business to government or government to business. By using these different ways we have to learn how the business to be involvement from one parties to another parties and replacement of transaction for acquiring some revenue as the capital to be invested by the business owners. Okay, so for today's class that's all. If any conflict or confuse in your mind, then you can ask me with the help of comment box. That's all. Thanking thou.